Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dawg, and we're here with the Battle Plan Blab. We're coming to South Carolina. That's right, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, the 12th and 13th of July. We're bringing the Internet Battle Plan number 20. This is the 20th time we've done this event. I am absolutely astounded the results we're getting on this thing. And my guest with me today is Mr. Rico Glover. Hello, Rico.
How you doing, sir?
Rico is the social media Superman, and he's not just making an idle claim. I've seen his work. He works at Bryan Honda in Fayetteville, North Carolina, right?
Correct.
Fantastic. He spoke at one of my previous battle plans and blew the audience away. We have another guest coming in on the seat right now, Mr. Bill Parliament. Now, Bill, jump in that empty seat. We'll get this thing rolling. Bill's one of our other speaker featured. He's from Stream Media, and an advertising agency that specializes with car dealers, mostly in video, internet. Here comes Bill now. Oh, look at this. Bill Parliament, hello.
Hey, what's up? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you great.
Awesome.
Man, you are just a shadow of your former self. Last time I saw you, you're bigger than I am. Now
Yeah, I really slimmed down. Yeah, I think it's important to be healthy and have a ton of energy and do the things that you love. So really important. But I feel great. Thanks for noticing.
Oh, noticing, man, night and day. You look like Jabba the Hutt last time I saw you.
You know? I got some tweets asking me if I ever played in the NFL. So, yeah, you think you're carrying it well until you get a tweet asking you if you ever played in the NFL. And then, you know it's time to do something.
Well, let's get this thing cranked out. Start out with Rico for a second. Rico, what are you going to be speaking about at Battle Plan? Tell me your theme. Tell me your bullet points. What are you going to be doing?
My main topic is going to be on the ROI for social media. I'm going to go into a little bit on the reason why now is not, you shouldn't consider social media as something to play around with or something that we may think about doing, but the real reasons why social media is actually integrated in with so much marketing, even with things like your SEO and SEM, how they're reading the social signals in the engagement to actually push your current content higher than some other folks that may be spending a whole lot more money. You could spend $10 on certain ads and get a push for your particular vehicle or your brand or your make or your model by using social media. So
are you actually selling cars with it?
Yeah. That's the funny. I get that all the time. And the thing about it is I've been doing this now with Bryan Honda for 3 years, and you being in the industry for how long? 30 plus years, sir? You and I both
40.
Yes, 40 years.
40 years this month.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, we just had an anniversary.
Okay, congratulations. Well, you know just as good and well as I do that the car dealerships work month by month, 30 days. So my main position here is the digital marketer. I'm the chief digital officer. And if I wasn't getting results, I would probably they probably would have got rid of me the first 30 days. So as long as I'm providing results and we're actually selling cars and building brands, I think they'll keep me around for a little bit. So
fantastic.
It does work.
Bill Parliament.
Yes, sir.
What do you do? Who do you work for? What are you going to talk about? What are you all about, guy?
Sure. So I work for Stream Companies. So Stream Companies is a full-service integrated ad agency. We're located right outside of Philadelphia, but we have offices down in the Carolinas, out on the West Coast, out in LA, up in North Jersey. So from what I understand and talking to David, who's one of the co-founders here, I believe David's going to be talking about basically how to tell if you're getting ripped off from your vendors.
Yes,
I know another.
Is.
Yeah, so kind of how to audit your vendors and understand. I have a saying that I like to use. There's margin in the mystery. And I think in the car business, especially from a digital standpoint, there's a lot of mystery. And I think our folks in the car business, of course, they're experts at selling cars. Not all of them are experts in digital marketing and how to use tools. So really understanding how to do an audit of your vendors to make sure that you're spending your money in the correct spots. And I think from what David explained to me, I'm going to be on a panel discussion. My background is really, I got started in this business back in 2007, was running my own digital agency, fell in love with search engine optimization, something that I call inbound marketing. It's really, at the end of the day, it's just online lead gen, using content to drive marketing. So now I am the chief digital evangelist at Stream. I used to be the VP of digital and oversee all the operations of the digital team, but we kind of sorted all those things out. Now I'm more into the biz dev end, as well as client retention, and just really evangelizing about all the things that we're doing here at Stream from a digital standpoint, and loving it every day because I get to talk to dealers and help kind of spill the beans and talk to them about what their vendors are doing and how we can help them get more results, and making sure that really they're picking the right mix, because digital is a lot like traditional media today. You need to make sure that you're picking the right mix and you're using the things that you need, not the things that people want you to buy. So, sometimes I want to fall out of my chair when I hear that, some of these dealers are spending $5,000 in display ads. And I'm like, but yet your paid search campaigns aren't buttoned up. You're spending $500 a month on SEO, and maybe your vendor moves around a few title tags here and there, and they're not adding content. They're not doing the things that you need to do. So really, that's what I'm passionate about, and helping, dealers sell more cars through digital, and obviously be able to connect the dots to all the things that they're doing.
Absolutely. And I'll be talking about how to work a car deal. That's my forte. I was talking to the Battle Plans about social media, but I've got people like Rico and Sean Bradley, yourself. I mean, they're better experts. I'm a practitioner of social media. I have 100,000 friends and followers, and I use social media fairly well, but statistically, I'm not analytic. Right. What's the first four letters of analytic? So I can't do the numbers, but what I do is I use it very effectively. My people networking skills are really high up there. I got a couple groups on Facebook right now with right at 10,000 members.
Nice.
Rico, tell me, Rico, now you're using social media. Tell me some of your tricks. Tell me some of your techniques. Tell me some of the secret sauce.
Well, it really isn't that much of a secret. Most people, like I said, the way I look at it, because I came, Bill mentioned inbound marketing, which has been my lifeblood when I was a Subaru Internet manager. I actually became an Bill. It sounds like he may be familiar with this company, HubSpot.
We're a HubSpot partner, my brother.
Okay. Years ago, as a matter of fact, I have photos with the two co-founders and things of that nature. When I first got into digital marketing, I was internet manager for a Subaru dealership. And I got tired of competing against the other Subaru dealerships over price. So I said there had to be a better way. So I started doing a little research and actually became certified with HubSpot, got headaches. And I'm pretty sure you're very familiar with this, trying to learn everything that HubSpot puts together. So sure. I started learning that stuff. And the thing about it, I went from that to the social side because they always started talking about content, and the sales lion, Marcus, I believe that's his first name. He really got me interested in actually building content so that people will look at you as an authority and not look at you as a salesperson. So I started backing into social media through that route. And when I started playing around with it, I said it just makes sense. My background, I've been in the car industry for off and on for almost 20 years. And I also spent 7 years of my young life as a radio announcer. And I learned back then that you had to have engagement. Once you built engagement with your fans, they would follow you anywhere.
Is that a real radio station now?
Yeah. No. I was with the largest. I was with 100,000 watt radio station. I was the morning show producer and on-air jock.
Really?
Number one DJ in my local area. We had like I said, 100,000 watts. Worked for one of the top radio stations. So I knew about engagement.
Well, you know my background.
I know. I know. Yes, sir.
I was one of the most well-known DJs in the country, WAPE back in the day.
Yes, sir. I do.
I was Dr. X, the big time radio slam.
well, back then, I was much slim, and so my radio name was Rico the Thin Man with the Master Plan. So that was my background. So the crazy thing about it is, just like Bill was mentioning, inbound marketing and understanding your numbers. Really, social media is about understanding your numbers. It's not really any tools or techniques. It's really about understanding analytics. It's about finding your group who you want to market to, then actually just becoming the authority in that market, and then be able to, and Bill can probably contest to this, most dealers are wasting tons. And when I say tons, I'm talking about thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, because these vendors come in and they tell them, you need to spend $5, $6, $7, $8,000 on Google AdWords or they don't even mention retargeting that much, but they don't tell them the next step. You're spending this money, but 96% of the people you're advertising, because you're not setting up the right processes to engage with them and stay engaged, will never come back to your site again. So what that does is that gives them a next month to come back again and sell them the same stuff.
And it's all co-op too. I mean, I see people buying the crappiest programs because they get co-op.
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
all it has to be is digital.
somebody at the manufacturers, I'm talking numerous manufacturers, somebody's on the take. Somebody's being paid under the table. Like there's one reputation management company. How can you hire a reputation management company that has a bad reputation themselves?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Bill can contest this. They don't know any better.
No. Yeah.
The people that are in charge don't know any better. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bill.
No, it's okay. I'm stepping in. There's margin in the mystery, and I think, dealers, we've lost the concept that marketing is an investment and not an expense.
Exactly.
So if you pump $1, you should expect to get $2. Exactly. So whether or not you're getting reimbursed from co-op or not, if I'm helping you make money and sell cars, who cares if it's being yeah, it'd be great to be reimbursed. Who wouldn't want that? But at the same time, if we can help you sell more cars from what you're doing, then at the end of the day, we're dealing with a dealership right now who's actually said, enough's enough with the co-op. We need somebody that can help us get results. So that's so important.
Guess who just showed up? Joel Kasser. Joe didn't Joel speak the same battle plan you spoke at, Rico?
I'm better with faces.
Okay.
if I can see his Facebook profile.
Yeah, Joel's an internet director for. He's moved dealerships since I talked to him last. But
okay, awesome.
Joel, you can hop in that spare seat if you'd like. I'll let you in, Joel, if you jump in there. If you got a microphone and a camera. Bill, you talk about vendors ripping people off, and I write columns for 3 magazines, and I've been ranting and raving, and I'll call them out. Auto Trader, Cars.com. I have said publicly I don't think either one of them can justify ROI for the high fees they're charging, and I'm not telling people to cancel them. I don't do that. But what I am telling people is, measure your vendors, and don't tell me about VDPs and SRPs and page views. Quit it. Tell me about how many cars I sold for the dollars I spent. Because you have very few of these. They're trying to tell you they're an advertising agent. No, you're not an advertising source. You're either ROI or you're not ROI.
Sure.
Either I'm getting a return on this or I'm not. Now, is that somewhere where you're going to be heading, and David's going to be heading at the battle plan?
Yes, I believe so, and kind of how to take a look at your vendors and what they're doing and where to search and make sure that, is everything adding up? Is everything connecting the dots? The auto business is kind of tough to connect the dots in that, it's not an e-commerce play. It's not an e-commerce play where, you're putting a car into the shopping cart, you put your credit card in, and then you check out, and you're able to track from the keyword to the conversion. So there are other ways that you need to make sure that, you're not being ripped off. So, for example, when we talk about ripping off, I know a lot of vendors like to use the term impression share from a paid search standpoint. And to me, impression share is just another fancy word for how can I reach into your wallet and extract money out of your pocket. So, you could have I could put together the crappiest list of keywords you've ever seen from a auto dealership standpoint, and our impression share would suck. And I could say, hey, Jim, your impression share sucks. You need to give me more money so I can get you more clicks and traffic, right? So it's really about bidding on the right keywords, and if you got the right mix of keywords, and then if your impression share is suffering a little bit there, then that's one thing to consider. But again, the whole display the whole display topic. Are you buttoned up in your paid search? And are you doing the proper SEO? Like you mentioned, spending a lot of money. I think from an SEO standpoint, where dealers get ripped off is vendors not charging enough. Like to me, I've said this on your stage before, Jim, if you're giving your vendor $500 a month to do SEO, you're not getting a proper SEO. You can't do SEO the right way for $500 a month. I'd rather you take that $500 a month and buy your team pizzas every month. You'll get more out of that $500 than you will from an SEO standpoint, because it takes a lot of work to get legitimate results from an SEO campaign. So those are some of the things that we're going to talk about. And, I know when we take on new clients or prospects give us a call and they're struggling and they're trying to figure things out, we go through everything that they're doing and really help them figure out what's working and what's not.
Okay, I think I got Joel Kasser buzzing in that. There he is.
Hey, Jim, how's everything going?
Hey, Joel, how's everything with you?
Hey, Rico. Hey, Bill, how's everything going with you guys?
Joe?
What's up?
Good.
Look at that pink tie, would you?
Actually, it's peach.
Is it? Okay.
You know me. I like to be seen for more of it.
Where are you working nowadays, guy?
I am working out of Volvo of Edison in Edison, New Jersey. I actually oversee 3 stores, Volvo of Edison, Bridgewater Volvo, and Volvo of Princeton.
I'm going to have to get you back in another battle plan one of these days.
I know. I'm actually trying to make it out to the one next month.
Oh, well, hey, I'd love to see you there, man. Look at flower shirt, teach at the beach. Teach at the beach.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I'm trying to make it out come hell or high water.
Internetbattleplan.com. www.internetbattleplan.com. I got 20 speakers on stage, 2 days. It's at the Sheridan Conference Center, beautiful hotel. There's restaurants, there's nightlife. And I did something really cool, Bill. You're going to like this. I got the hotel for $179 a night. That's like a $250 room. I got it for 3 days on either side of the event.
Nice.
So people want to bring their family and have a couple of extra days vacation. They can stay 3 extra days and get the dealer to help pay for some of that. So that'll work out well. What do you think? What do you think of the battle plan, Joel? You spoke at one. You've been to several. I met you at one.
Well, actually, if you remember, I spoke at 2. We had number 13 out in Las Vegas and number 14 down in Atlanta.
You did.
But that's right. And honestly, it's one of the best internet conferences that I've been to. I've been to the stuff at Digital Dealer. I've been to NADA. I was at the stuff hosted by PCJ. And for me, it comes down to the useful stuff they can take back to your dealership and you can implement almost right away. And the other big thing, of course, the fact that it's, no sales pitches. Sure, the vendors are there. They all have a presence there, but nobody's getting up on stage saying, I'm going to talk for 5 minutes about this. And by the way, here's what I can sell to your dealership. So just in terms of the usable stuff you can bring back to your dealership, it's huge.
And it's loose. It's really loose.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Of course, this time around, you got Rico who's going to be there. And let's be honest, how often does Rico speak at a convention?
Rico is astonishing. I've seen people criticize Rico, but they were vendors in competition, and Rico's stuff works. I've known Rico for 5 years probably, and you can't argue with the guy selling cars, and he's going against the grain with all these pseudo experts are saying otherwise. Well, that never worked. Guess what? It works. You can't deny it. Rico.
I think you remember this when I got into radio. I mean, it wasn't really big to have these big like the radio announcers that would be in one location that would broadcast throughout the country. I never forget I was in a radio convention, and this ties in with the car industry. And these were people that had been in radio for years. These were the leaders of radio. And I was at, like I said, the #1 morning show, and I'll never forget one of the gurus standing up and saying that no one would ever pay for radio. Radio would stay free. No one would want it. They would always want their local DJs. And I sat there and I said, it's not about what we want as being in the industry. It's what the consumer wants. And if you look at it now, looking at fast forward now, if you don't have XM radio in your car to sell, a customer will ask you that. Or if you don't have some type of app where they can get Pandora, either free or paid for, they want that. And it's the same thing with what's going on in the industry right now. Things are changing dramatically. I always said the Tesla effect. I mean, we talk about them, but these guys are killing it. When you get over 200,000, when you can sell almost 200,000 cars in less than 3 weeks, and people putting down $1,000 to hold a car, but we as the car industry are saying, well, I'm not going to use those techniques. I'm not going to use it. It doesn't matter what we want. You got to look at the consumer. So what I look at when I'm looking at digital or social or any type of advertising, I look at it this way. Like the old saying is, they asked the gentleman that robbed the banks, why do you rob the banks? He said that's where the money is. The reason why I do digital and why I use it so effectively is that's where our consumers are. It's 100, and forgive me, it's 100 in hell in North Carolina some days. A customer is not going to come on a lot and walk 5 lots. They're going to go online. They're going to look for the vehicle they want. They're going to look at reviews. They're going to try to find a salesperson they think who has what they want, and then they go to the dealer. And I had an interesting conversation with the gentleman. I've been blessed that I know a lot of people that are in digital marketing, and they're my friends. I take what they use in other retail industries and bring it back to the car business. And he told me this. He said, Rico, I just bought a car. He said, and he said this, and being in the car business, I never thought about it. He said, Rico, I had my 3 top models that I wanted to go to. He said, I went to my least favorite one first, my second one next, and the one I really wanted to buy last. And I thought about it, and I asked basically, before I could ask him, why'd you say that? He said, because I think I want to buy that car, and I want to make sure that's the last place I'm at. In case I want to do the deal, I'm going to do it right then. And I was like, wow. We as car business, we don't even understand the mindset of the new way of consumer. That's their way of thinking, and we've got to chime in and understand that. And the other thing he said to me, which was kind of funny, he said, I would have bought from the guy that I really liked. They were very knowledgeable. They understand the product. They understand the competition's product. But he didn't. He lived further away. His dealership was further away from me. He said this. Now, we're going to laugh because we know we can do this. He said, if the guy would have offered to bring the car to me, I would have bought from him. And once again, it's because we're not looking from the consumer standpoint of what's the easiest way to find the price, do the transaction, and get it done so I can move on with my life.
Exactly.
That's what I believe that people are missing out on.
Hey, Joel.
Yes.
You were doing a lot with video last time I saw you. Tell me about it.
Video honestly has always been a huge part of my arsenal ever since I first saw it back at Battle Plan in Northern Jersey.
We showed you Battle Plan in New Jersey, Battle Plan, and Elise Kephart was speaking there. A pretty young woman, and everybody said, well, she just sells cars for video because she's pretty. That's why I got you doing video, to prove that's wrong.
Oh, that's right. Listen, I got a face that could break a mirror 500 paces, and 100% prove you're wrong. It's really funny you bring that up because over the weekend, my regional marketing manager from Volvo sent out an email to all the Volvo dealerships in our region about why it's important to use video when reaching out to customers. And what's the link that he puts in there? He puts it to the Automotive News article from 2013 that featured me and my dealership in it. The big problem when it comes to most internet sales these days is most BDC agents, most internet salespeople still stick with the old tired. I'm going to email a customer, car's available, when can you come on in? Send out a phone call, hi, car's available, when can you come on in? But it doesn't really have that wow factor. It doesn't really grab the customer's attention. Keep in mind that we're digesting more and more video every single day that goes by. There's a reason why YouTube is the #2 search engine in the world. And, there's a reason why, you have a college dropout in Sweden who makes horrible video game playthroughs in his mom's basement. He makes $8 million a year doing so. It's because human beings are by nature a visual and audio type of being. So if you could do more than just, write on a piece of paper, we have the car, when can you come on in? You can sit there, you can put a face and a voice to everything. A person sitting here in front of the camera saying, hello, Mr. Customer, my name is Joel, I work for Volvo Medicine. Thank you so much for reaching out to us. I appreciate you doing business with us. Referring to them by name, saying thank you in your own voice, saying, here's a video of the vehicle you're looking about. Here's a video of me with all reviews from my customers.
Calling them by their name.
Exactly. Because think about it. What is the main thing that we hear, everybody loves hearing their own name. So if I sit there and say in a video your name 15 times, it's going to stand out more than someone who just writes hello, Mr. Customer in an email. Think about the Matrix. What would you rather be? Would you rather be a gray suit walking the street? Or would you rather be the woman in the red dress?
Bill, which one would you rather be?
Woman in the red dress.
Yeah, then you could use alternative bathrooms, right? Bill, tell me about website conversion.
Oh, website conversion. So here's what I say about website conversion. Everything is conjecture until tested. One of the things that we see a lot from an agency standpoint is, the GM or the DSM, they always want to change they want to put this up on the website, they want to put that on the website, and they don't take into effect what effects it could have from a conversion standpoint. So we always think, hey, everything needs to be tested, and we have a conversion rate optimization team here on site, and we test hundreds of different types of tests, whether it's call to action, button colors, whether it's the language that we're using on the buttons, whether we're adding some trust symbols, we test forms. So everything from a website conversion standpoint needs to be tested. And, in some regard, I think before we do any of this other stuff that we're talking about, SEO, paid search, display, we need to ask ourselves, is our site converting at the best possible rate? Because, by cranking the marketing or cranking the marketing spigot, all we're doing is putting more eyeballs on a bad conversion tool. And that's once you have your conversions sorted out and you know that you're converting at a high rate, then you can crank up your marketing, because at the end of the day, it's not about traffic. It's about how those leads, how that traffic's converting. And if you don't know what's working and what's not, I'm not sure, how that works, because at the end of the day, you're probably already getting enough traffic to your website. You don't need any more clicks. You just need to convert more of those clicks that are already coming to your website. If
Convert them to what? Convert them to what? Convert them to what, Bill?
I'm sorry, taking a traffic to either fill out a form or to pick up the phone and call, because that's what we call a lead conversion. I don't consider, like you mentioned, map views and SRP and BP views as a conversion on a website. What I call a conversion is an opportunity to do business. That's a form submission on your website or a phone call.
A phone call. That one thing that gets me, I see so many dealerships that don't have the phone number prominently displayed on their site. And I said, well, why are you doing that? Well, we want to get an email so we can convert them to a phone call. Excuse me. Joe, I'm going to ask you to jump out. Sean V. Bradley just showed up.
You got it.
I have to jump out now, too.
Oh, so you do? Then you stay in, Joel.
All right.
Yeah. So you're good. Everybody, can't wait
thanks.
to see you guys.
Stream companies. Is there a phone number, web address you want to give before you get off?
Yeah, you can go to streamcompanies.com. That's our website. Just check us out there. My Twitter is @BillParliament. So hit us up if you have any questions. We're always happy to help.
You are so appreciated.
Thank you, guys.
Rico, is that clear feedback coming out of your headset?
It's not mine. I'm in my office. No one's in here with me. I'm alone.
Okay. Sean Bradley, jump in there. Somebody's typing on their keyboard. It's being picked up too. Sean, jump in that empty seat. Here comes my little buddy, Sean Bradley. Okay. Sean Weissman just showed up. Hey, that's another superstar. Okay, Sean Bradley, jump in that empty seat if you would, please. It looks like Sean left us. Oh, look at that, would you? Okay. Expand and expound again, Rico. Tell me some more about your social media campaigns.
Well, like I said, we're getting a little more in depth with it. I'm actually building the full campaigns where it's just not because the one thing that most people think that social is playing online, and it is and it isn't. Because there's 3 stages, and I'm going to go more into depth on this in the Internet Battle Plan. But
Hang on 1 second, Joe. Your keyboard's clicking on the air.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Rico.
There's actually 3 forms of marketing when you're doing anything, and you have to lay out which one you're going to do with it. And what I mean by that is top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. And each one of those customers wants something at a different point. So when I'm doing post engagements, for example, let's say I just got something that's Like I've got one now with Batman. It's Batman and Robin. And it sounds crazy, but it's Batman getting ready to slap Robin because Robin is saying it's hot outside. And on the tagline, what I have is summertime is getting. At that time, I posted a few days ago, but it's summertime starts June 20th. It's basically time for you to get ready for trips and things of that nature. That's for someone that may be in the market 60 to 90 days. That's not for someone that's going out maybe tomorrow or the next day to look at the vehicle. So when you're doing your social campaigns, you actually want to look at that. You don't want to look at it, well, I'm always going to see ads on specials, because I see that on some websites and some social media. All they do is just market, but they're not building that brand of folks that may be 30, 60, 90, 120 days out. So that's the way I look at my social, just like you would traditional marketing. Where are they at, and who do you want to market to, and what stage are they at?
Okay, Joe, tell me some more about your business.
For us, so really it's a lot of it's just about investing in your own site and your own dealership. Because we hear about it every day. It's all over Facebook and all of our groups that, dealers are dropping Auto Trader, they're dropping cars, and they're just reinvesting the money into their own website. It was really funny because when we were actually looking to drop Auto Trader back in November, December, of course they send in the SWAT team telling us that, they're driving 33% of our web traffic, and, all the doom and gloom is going to happen. So we did our due diligence as far as digital marketing companies. And then, once we signed up, of course, the first thing we did was make sure the whole website was in order, that everything was prepared. And then we pumped up the marketing. And it goes to show that our web traffic is actually up about 25% year over year from last year.
After dropping Auto Trader.
After dropping Auto Trader, that's correct. And keep in mind that
I don't tell people to cancel Auto Trader, but I do tell people measure them and be sure you're getting ROI, because their prices are through the roof. And cars.com, I haven't seen anybody that I could say is getting ROI from cars.com.
Exactly. All of it is just about measuring the customers, measuring the ROI. And the best way to start is to make sure that every salesperson, when they get in front of a customer and they're taking their information, one of the first questions they ask is, what websites did you visit online that influenced you to come here? Because now one of the big things that some of these places are starting to push is indirect referrals, which basically says they went onto our website, and then at some point in the future they went onto your website, so we drove that traffic there, which is, it's utter complete nonsense. It's like if I walked down to Rico's dealership, I just stood at the door and I held it open for customers. I said I got the customer in the store. It's the exact same thing. So it's just, the investment in your own website is really where you're going to see the biggest key as far as, I'm not going to say exponential growth, but it's going to be one of the bigger growth factors that you can experience in your store.
Now, are you guys familiar with SEMrush and SpyFu?
No, actually, I'm not.
I'm familiar with SEMrush, but not the second one you mentioned.
Okay, SpyFu, SPYFU, like Kung Fu.
Oh, yes, where you can find
SpyFu.com and SEMrush.
Yes.
Search engine marketing rush. Both of those websites, not only can you measure what keywords are working for you, you can measure organic and paid. And it'll tell you how much you're spending. It'll show you which ones of your competitors are intruding on your market. And what I really like, it'll tell you what keywords are working for your competitors, and how much they're spending on them. And it'll show you how much penetration they have into your market. I mean, it is phenomenal. Especially when you buy the paid version. The free version's a ton of information, but you go to SpyFu, SPYFU.com, and without even buying a subscription, just using the free information, I've had dealers greatly improve their marketing. Incredible. So it's something we look at a lot.
It's a great tool, and that's the thing about it. You just hit on something a lot of people don't understand, is that you've got to plan this. A lot of people think they wake up one day and then you're just going to say, I want to do this event, or I want to do this advertising or something of that nature. What we try to do is I do a monthly and then a 6 month and then a yearly campaign calendar. And inside of there, we actually say, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to spend. This is how we're going to do it. And something that Joel mentioned, which is very true, and this comes from my Google background, is that you got to understand attribution. And a lot of vendors don't even understand attribution, let alone the vendors that go sell. And what attribution is you can actually take it And let's say you got a cars.com, you got your cars, you got your Edmunds, you got all these true cars, and they're going to your website. With attribution, you can actually have tags. You can put it in your Google Analytics, or you can have the person who handles your Google Analytics, and they will actually tell you where your true sources are coming from. And what I mean by that, for example, you can tag it where it's social. Let's say you post something on social about a Honda, since I'm a Honda dealership. You post it on Honda, and then from there, they go to your website. And from there, they go to the website that they say, well, let me go to the Honda website. And from there, they may go to another, let's say Edmunds. Well, with the proper tagging of each one of those, now what you see is, hey, look, maybe my website or my social gave me 50% of the customers that are going to my website, and these folks actually closed, or the Edmunds did it. But you have to understand the numbers. One thing I learned a long time ago, and there's a famous poet out there, and he said, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. And that's Jay-Z. And it's the truth. With digital marketing, you can actually, if you understand, you could be smart. And what's so crazy about this is I had a vendor come in to my office trying to explain something to me. And I sat down with them for about 30, 40 minutes and shared with them attribution. And he looked at me, and I'm not going to say which vendor it is, but it's one that you always talk about. And he looked at me, he said, that's crazy, Rico, because I just flew down and the whole organization was talking about attribution. And we, as being, if you the internet manager, the chief digital officer, the janitor in charge of pixels, you have to know the keywords, and you have to know not the keywords, but you have to know the language if you're trying to market in today's industry. So there is a way, like Joel said, you have to know where your money is going.
And not only that. Now, I say Auto Trader was great at one time, and it may be great again.
Yeah.
But when I was a young man, and I'm talking 1968,
okay,
there was a nightclub in Jacksonville, Florida. And I was a fairly famous local celebrity. I was a DJ. I not only had hair, but I had long blonde hair in those days. And okay, and this nightclub was called the Scene Nightclub, like SCENE.
Okay.
And every night they had 300 people in that nightclub. I mean, you got to remember, this was the year after the Summer of Love. This was hippies. And, I mean, you got to picture the times. Yeah. And there was a band at the Scene nightclub called The Second Coming.
Okay. And
The Second Coming just packed the house every night. A couple years later, The Second Coming changed their name to the Allman Brothers Band. Okay. They were the house band at the Scene.
Okay.
One night I go into the Scene and there's maybe 20 people there. Just 20. And I asked the waitress, the Allman Brothers, Greg and Dwayne, still on stage. And that was when Dwayne was still alive. And they're playing, their band's playing.
Yeah.
And there's nobody in the nightclub, figuratively. And I asked the waitress, I said, well, what happened? She said, another nightclub opened on the other side of town. And they got a band called the Leonard Skinner Band, and people were going over there. The crowd moved. Yep. And that's what people have to understand with advertising. Crowds move.
Exactly.
And they move unpredictably. Auto Trader had the crowd. I don't think they've got the crowd right now. And, you know, you've heard me trash Car Gurus, and you've heard me trash Edmunds. I mean, I've cursed their great ancestors. I have said the most terrible things about Car Gurus, the most terrible things about Edmunds. And you know what? I had to eat those words because they are outproducing most of the other lead providers now for a lot less money.
They're doing what you're telling them to do because they're now becoming, it's crazy. Auto Trader, Edmunds, all the rest of them are now trying to become more of agencies and understanding the numbers. And the crazy thing about it is this is our product. This is our baby. We sell cars, and we know less about where our consumers are going, what they're doing, and how to get them. And we have to go out and talk to these folks, the Edmunds and vendors, unless, and I'm speaking this, and I guarantee you within 12 to 18 months, what I say now may seem strange, but it's going to be the foundation of most dealerships. You're going to see a trend where dealerships are going to start bringing more in-house. They're going to start going out and like your folks.
Already happening. That trend is already.
Don't say it. Don't say it. It's
already happened. Dealers are managing their own accounts. They're doing their own SEO, their own SEM. And social media is just on fire of selling cars. Social media, especially Facebook. I had a young guy speak at one of my battle plans here, Battle Plan 17, and he was talking about how to use Twitter to sell cars.
Oh man, it's strong.
I had no idea that Twitter could sell cars.
It is strong. I don't tell a lot of my secrets, but that one it's a listening, and I can actually show you where I've had engaged. People think that, oh, you got to have 1,000 or 100,000 followers. No, you just listening. You wait till they say something, because I've got it set up. This is how strong Twitter is.
Okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Tell us
you got me excited.
I know what you're going to say.
You can listen to where I've got my stuff set up. If someone says Honda, if they say car shopping, if they say I need a car, I want to buy a car, my programs, the ones that I have set up, will automatically send them something to engage with them.
Second.
These are prospects that are saying,
wait a second.
sell me a car.
You've automated Twitter response?
Yes.
Who programmed that for you?
I have to talk to you after hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, Rico.
You know what? I'm going to tell you, the way I found out about it was several years ago. There's a gentleman, I'm in North Carolina, and there was a young kid. He doesn't do it for me, but there was a young kid who MTV, VH1, and a couple other major companies hired him to program a system so that if this is strong, this has been going on for like 8, 9, 10 years or so. So if someone went on to Twitter and typed on that show, I'm going to say That's So Great TV show popped up, the system would automatically send a bing to them and say, hey, by the way, if you enjoy that, we got blah, 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 blah. In MTV, this is true. I met the guy and I worked with him. Young cat, graduated from UNC Chapel Hill. They were paying him thousands of dollars to do this back then. And now what I did was I just took that same concept and I tied it with my car just broke down. I need a car. I'm looking for a car. And now when they send it out on Twitter, because Twitter's an open platform, you can read it, the APIs and everything. You can read it. So when he said that about Twitter, it's true. I just never speak about it because you can't let your left hand know what your right hand doing.
Well, like I say, you can use the search engine. Okay, let's be a little more primitive here, Joel. You can be manual and not have an automated setup like Rico, and you can put in the search in Twitter, buy a car, Honda, and see who's talking about it. You can find those conversations with the Twitter search engine.
No, you're absolutely right. Because, given that, the small number of resources I personally have, I would just keep a session of Hootsuite open. And I would say, okay, anyone puts in the word S60 within 50 miles of my dealership. Any puts in the word XC60 within 50 miles of my dealership. Anybody that puts in a hashtag of car troubles, car broke down, oil change, or anything like that, my search feed would automatically start populating with every single tweet that had that stuff in there. So this way,
I use
automated, but it's just go in there, send out a DM, because the way that you take a look at Twitter is it's like wandering around in a Times Square in New York.
You got to do that, Joe. Let me tell you, I got 30,000 people on Twitter.
Yes,
they're all relevant people. So
you would make a killing from it, because you could put in there either Joel, the way Joel uses it, or one similar to mine. And just think about this: if they type in your name, they type in Alpha Dawg or anything of that nature, and you've got it set up now, Joe, and I've used that before where you can do it manually. But if you get it set up automatically, they think you personally have just tweeted them. Do you know how powerful that is? If someone who's a fan of yours, sir, and you tweet back to them, and they think you tweeted back to them, how many shares, how many comments, how much you can draw out business just from that, because it's one-on-one. Twitter is one-on-one. It's not huge like Facebook or any other. It's one-on-one. So even if you automatic or do just like Joel said, it becomes personal, and it will grow. The engagement is the key.
You know what I get a lot of play on is LinkedIn.
Yes.
I'm a premium user. I'm a $25 a month LinkedIn subscriber. And as a premium user, I got a lot of benefits. I don't know. I've got 15 or 20,000 people on LinkedIn.
Strong.
But the biggest thing I tell people is relevant people.
Yes.
Now I've got a competitor, and I don't know how to describe this guy. I can't say he's a a close personal friend, but he's not an enemy either. He and I get along very well. I won't say his name. He just bought a jet recently. Whoever this guy is, he's got thousands and thousands of followers, but he bought a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I love people in Asia, and I love people in India, and I love people in Polynesia, but they can't help me.
Yeah.
And you know, when you buy all these Twitter followers or Facebook followers, that's what you're getting is irrelevant people.
Yeah.
When I say I have 100,000 people in the social media, most of them are affiliated or actually in the car business. And car dealers and car people are my clients. Yeah. And if you're going to build social media, you got to build relevant social media. Yeah. People that are relevant to you. Mm-hmm. Now, Rico, you and Joel both belong to one of my secret groups on Facebook. Don't say the name of it, but you know, we got 10,000 people in that group. You're aware of that.
Yeah.
And they're all relevant because how many times you see me throw out irrelevant people?
more than just a few.
I threw out a guy about 40 minutes ago, and he's burning me up on my side screen over here, cursing me out for throwing him out.
Jim, I hate to dine and dash. I gotta head up because I got about 5 deals coming across my desk.
Yeah, I see you're busy, but hey, I'm so pleased you dropped in on us. You know,
hey, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on here.
You are loved and a good friend, and I'll have you at the next battle plan. I hope you're coming to this one.
Listen, I'm trying to get out to this one. You know, Myrtle Beach, Rico, Buena Vista for the world.
Come on.
What do I have to do to get you involved?
All I have to do is just get to my owner and have him pay for the plane tickets.
Oh, come on. Yeah, dealers spend $800-900 a car to sell to market a customer, to get a customer in front of them. Cost of business, and spend zero training their people.
See, Jim, that's why when I came on board, one of the conditions of my coming on board is that he sends me conventions like this.
Awesome.
So I just need to get the credit card from him.
You got it. Rico, I'm going to talk to Rico here for a second, but Joe, I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guy.
Nice seeing you again, Joe.
See you later, Rico.
All right.
Okay. Well, you know, Rico, I'll tell you what, we've been on for 50 minutes. We have covered a lot of ground. Tell me a little bit. Tell me about your presentation at Battle Plan.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to, because I'm trying to open up the eyes, and I won't go into a deep dive level, but I'll be able to give you a couple of suggestions on where you can go to actually deep dive into it, because this is not a quick fix. I posted on that Facebook fan page that you mentioned. One of my mentors who actually did a lot of, he came to me, he works at a dealership, a salesperson, and now he's well into 6 figures, on his way to making 6 figures. And it took him roughly about 6 to 8 months to really get to that point. So my presentation is going to basically give you the bridges, because that's what most people want. They need to get from point A to point B, and they don't know how to get there. I'm going to include in there a 73-point checklist that you're going to need. This is a 73-point checklist that I got from my mentor, who actually runs several multi-million-dollar businesses online. He's actually Forbes actually quoted him as one of the top digital marketing experts, and he does it for a lot of big businesses. So this is the stuff that Rico's developed. A lot of the stuff that I teach on and learn on, I live and die for my mentors that do this in other industries. I've just taken what they've done successfully in other industries, and I've done it with the car business, which has a higher potential of income. It's point blank. So my training is going to be on what you need, and then how to use those, and then I'm going to bridge it together with a little couple of key points and techniques that you can use to actually go to get to that pot of gold.
I'll tell you, we've got Sean V. Bradley speaking on killer phone techniques. I mean,
awesome.
He's going to be talking word tracks, techniques, ways to convert customers from the email to the phone call to actually making the appointment, and which is interesting. There's an art to that. He's got that down better than anybody I know. Yeah. We've got the entire ZMOT team speaking. I've got Jennifer Briggs, Bobby Heron, and Eric Gale. Now, you know, ZMOT is the second largest dealership in the country. I forget how many dealerships they have. I'm going to say they got 20 stores, and they're the number 2 volume dealership in the United States, in the world, in the universe. They're that good. And Eric Gale's going to be talking about the ZMOT, the Zero Moment of Truth, and the girls are going to be talking. Bobby and Jennifer are going to be talking about how to convert a lead. They're going to be talking about lead conversion. So they've got we got Barlow, and have you ever met Barlow, Brian Barlow?
I don't think I have.
Okay, he has Pineapple Advertising and Pineapple.
Oh yes. Yeah, I met him last time. Definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
He is absolutely a nut. I think he's certifiable. I mean, the crowd will laugh till they nearly die when Brian's on stage. And of course,
Definitely.
Bill Parliament, who was here with us earlier, being one of the panels, his employer, his boss, his partner, David Wren, will be talking about how to know when the vendors are ripping you off, how to measure your ROI from the vendors, and be sure you're paying the right price.
Yes.
I own 2 domains that will knock your socks off, Rico. I own a domain called findoutwhatotherdealerspaid.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
TrueCar wants to tell consumers what other consumers pay. What if I ever actually build a website where they could compare what they're paying, all these vendors, what they're paying cars.com? Because cars.com's got pricing all over the board. They got some dealers paying a third of what other dealers are paying for the same service.
I don't know if you want to do that. What was that guy's name? Snowman.
Yeah.
The vendors may go after you like that.
I might have to move to Russia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I own that domain, and find out what other dealers paid.com. I mean, that would just blow their mind if I built a website like that.
Yes.
But I bought it, $8 to buy the domain. I still own it. And didn't get Elise Kephart this time. Elise is about 8 months pregnant.
Yeah, I see.
Oh.
I see her on my Facebook page.
I saw Elise, and Elise is the YouTube diva, and she's one of my proteges. I love her to death. I saw her online the other day. Looked like she was smuggling basketballs. She's gotten so big. Another little girl.
Awesome.
And so I didn't get Elise this time. So Raymond is going to be doing the phone skills, which I think is absolutely incredible.
Awesome.
And I'm going down to the people in my mind. Of course, I got Carrie Wise from TrueCar, and she's going to be talking about the new TrueCar program. Once again, TrueCar was a company that I really trashed at one point, and they're coming back strong, and they're starting to make a difference. I've really changed my opinion on some of these people. I actually flew out to Los Angeles here a couple of weeks ago and visited with the Edmunds people.
Awesome.
I had a food taster with me because I trashed them so bad. But it was a pleasant trip, really was. I'm going through the faces in my mind. I got Gary May from I Am at CS, and Gary May's brilliant. We got some good speakers at this thing. It's going to be really, really strong.
And I can personally say it's not so much the speaking that most people will get out from it, but it's the meeting after the meeting. That's the most important thing that I personally got. And what I mean by the meeting after the meeting is you find, like, for example, someone that's really into social, they may talk to me, or someone that's really into phone training, they may find Sean. And in that meeting after the presentation where you can sit down and you can spend 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes speaking one-to-one to that person, that right there is I can personally say that has generated me my income. But when I first started, I actually had my GM. I borrowed the money to go to my first internet battle plan. I actually asked my GM, can you take it out of my check? I want to pay for it personally myself. And he looked at me, and I'm always grateful for Mr. Diedrich, Dan Diedrich. He said, he looked at me with the strangest look, and he said, Rico, out of my 20, 30 plus years of being in the car industry, I've never had anyone asked to go to a training to pay for themselves. He paid for the training, and he said, you just get yourself there. So I rode a train. I don't know if I told you this, but
I didn't know that.
I rode a train from Fayetteville, North Carolina to New Jersey, and that changed my life because after I met some of the key folks there, the other Sean Weissman, he was there, and I met him. And it was the meetings after the meeting where you could actually get phone numbers and names and then get with those guys.
You met somebody. That was the one in New Jersey at the Marriott, right?
The one where I think it was a hurricane or something. We had to postpone it.
Because no. Oh, yeah. That was the one at the Revel.
Yep. That one.
And that was Atlantic City.
That's it.
Battle
That's
Plan 13, I think it was.
That's it. That's the one.
The hurricane blew through and
Yes.
devastated us.
Yes.
Yes, I recall now that you mention it. Yeah,
Yes. So you're missing money if you don't come to the Internet Battle Plan. Point blank, you're missing money.
InternetBattlePlan.com, 12th, 13th of July.
Yes.
2 full days, beautiful Myrtle Beach, great room rates. Dealers and general managers attend at no charge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Dan Diedrich just retired.
Yes. Great guy.
Did you know he and I were salespeople together 30
I
years ago?
remember you telling me that. He's a great guy.
It was amazing. I was in sales and management in the car business for just over 10 years.
Okay.
And that was 30 years ago.
Okay.
So amazing enough, I started my current company in 1986 when I left retail.
Awesome.
I was never ever beaten on the sales floor. I wasn't a world record-setting salesman.
Yeah.
I was a record-setting manager, but I was never the number 2 salesman to any dealership I worked for.
Strong.
I was always number 1 on the board. Never looked over my shoulder ever. I turned 70. I turned 69 years old, and I'm still out here teaching internet and sales. I went to Oregon last week. I mean, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, flew to Oregon, a whole day's travel just to spend 2 days training in a dealership and a whole day flying back.
Awesome.
So I'm blessed in that I have a lot of friends in the car business. I'm still writing the articles for the magazines. Yeah. But my greatest love right now is producing the internet battle plans.
Yes.
We'll get 100 people there, 16 sponsors, 20 speakers. You can't beat the atmosphere.
No.
So my number is 770-921-4440. I'm not going to put it up on the screen, but 770-921-4440. General managers, dealers are free, and I will arrange a group rate. And my wife, Debbie Ziegler, you met Debbie.
Yes.
Debbie and I produce this event, and it's a family affair. It's a boutique conference.
Yes.
Rico, I'm about to turn the recording off. 5, 4, 3, 2.